Hey, real estate friends, we're back. Kevin Harris, business real estate coach, and Dee Dee Leon, your favorite real estate broker and business coach. We are here today to give you a little more tips on how to master your mind through mindset moments from the Leads Workshop. We are on chapter 5 of the Leads Workshop, and we're going to discuss habits and how habits shape your business, how habits of doing things affect your business, how habits of not doing things. Most of us think that habits are action that we do. You don't think about habits are lack of actions. Not taking action is actually a habit, like procrastination, like waiting, like hesitation. That's a habit. If you always hesitate, that's a habit. So we're going to dive deep with business coach Kevin Harris on some insights, how he coaches his real estate clients on developing or breaking habits. Welcome.
Thank you so much. This has been great. I've loved this. I love the material and the course itself. And I think with habits, it is the single thing that we have a tendency to struggle with. And this could be in life, but definitely in the real estate business, because we all have habits. We all have, like you said, we all have habits that we do and don't do. And without understanding that the habits are what create our results. And the habits are formed because of usually what we've already talked about, our need for security or variety or things like that. So we create these habits to try to fulfill that, but those habits don't always serve us. And when we get into this business, there's a whole bunch of new habits that we have to create. Again, we are terrible bosses to ourselves. We're so used to having someone tell us what to do. We're so used to having, most of us, like I said, come from a corporate environment or come from a work W-2 lifestyle. And so we get an SOP when we get hired on, and they tell us what to do. And as long as we don't mess it up too bad, we get a paycheck and we get a review, and people kind of have expectations. And then we all of a sudden get into a business, our own business, and there's no boss. There's nobody telling us what to do. And so we're so used to this habit of just waiting for people to give us this, the next thing. And so a lot of times I see realtors, whether it's a coach, whether it's a broker, I see realtors actually like look to their broker or to their coach and go, okay, so what do I do next? Okay, so what do I do next? Okay, so what do I do next? Because that's what they're so used to. It's not out of laziness as much as it is just that's the habit. The habit is getting approval before they actually act, not realizing that it's their business.
Oh, that's good.
They actually have to create the habits for their business. Their business is going to look different than their coach that they have or the broker that they have. It's not that they can't help them, but it's their responsibility to create those habits and to actually lean into what are the things that are going to create the jobs that then create the actions and then create the results and then create the life that I'm looking for.
So that's actually a new habit I had never thought about. And I've taught this, I don't know how many hundreds of times it feels like, which is the habit of waiting for somebody to tell you what to do. I never realized that habit comes from programming from years of working for someone else. And that's why coaches like you and I are in this industry, because sometimes that's a habit or a personality trait that you'll never be able to break on your own. And you actually need a life coach, business coach to actually teach you how to change that habit and become an entrepreneur, a self-motivated person. That's good, Kevin. We're learning. So I thought I knew everything that you knew, and every you throw me a curveball every once in a while. So I love it. Well, then let's talk about what are habits that we should have. So let's go through the habits that we should have, and then let's go through the habits that real estate agents need to break and not have.
So it's a huge topic, and obviously you cover it in depth in the leads workshop that you do. But the reality is, for me, and we've talked about this in previous episodes, the first habit I think you should always have is preparing the night before for whatever you're going to do the next day. Whether it's a listing appointment, buyer representation appointment, closing, lead generation, it doesn't matter what you're going to be doing, but making sure that you're prepped the night before or the day before. Like I use Sunday afternoons. Usually, for a lot of people, Sunday afternoons is kind of a lazy time. And you can binge Netflix or you can build your business. Choose wisely, right? And there's a time to binge Netflix, and I love it just like anybody else. But when you're building a business, you may have to sacrifice those moments to build the habits that you need. So thinking about your business on Sunday, what you're trying to accomplish, making sure that you have it in your schedule, and then the night before each one of those days, making sure that your schedule and what you're planning on doing the next day lines up with what you're trying to accomplish for the week. Those are simple habits that allow you then, and again, I try to coach the full person, the health, energy, relationship, and opportunity, the hero edge conversation. And so you should be doing this in all four facets of that. How do you actually set your day up for success? Most people, the 95% out there, and there's nothing wrong with the 95%, but the 95% of people out there let that day happen.
I love that.
But the reality is you can actually make the day happen, but you've got to set it up for that. You've got to prepare for it. It doesn't always happen that way, but it happens more than it doesn't if you set it up and create the habits, whether it's lead generation every morning, whether it's making sure you do a follow-up after lunch. There's all these tasks, the tactical, practical of real estate that you can create, and then just making sure that there's accountability around it is what creates a great day.
So I just thought about another habit, which is the habit of follow-up. Most of us maybe have created really good habit of lead generation, yet the habit of that lead, putting them into your CRM, creating a follow-up campaign, and now we just have a huge gap of conversion. So we're doing the activities of lead generation, but lead generation alone doesn't convert to business. So for me, the next habit after the preparation habit and the lead generation habits is the habit of the follow-up that give you the conversion. And most realtors who are great lead generators, they're very weak when it comes to the follow-up. It's painful.
Yeah, it is, again, sayings abound. They say the money's in the follow-up, right? I did 8 open houses a week for over a year and a half, and 8 open houses a month for over a year and a half, because that was my main source of lead flow. And I tell realtors when I teach the master training that I have that you can be looking for the next deal in your open houses, or you can be looking for leads, but you're probably not looking for both. And the way you look for leads is the follow-up. It's the conversations after the open house. It's following up with people. And if there's some simple hacks to following up, my hack that I try to use and I try to teach is you don't know whether they want to use you or not. So follow up with them until they either use you or they tell you no. That's the easiest way to think about it, because then that deploys, how many times do I need to call them until you know the answer to that question? How many times do I need to email them until you know the answer to that question? And because if you do that more times than not, you will get the answer to that question. And ironically, usually the one who follows up the most gets the most business.
No, that's how it is. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Okay. So follow-up habits, creating follow-up habits. Creating the schedule habit, which is your first habit was the mental preparation the night before. How do you help agents with their actual schedule, the 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 schedule, the day in and day out?
Well, you have a perfect system inside of your workshop that kind of shows the perfect schedule of a high producing agent. That's what I love about it. And there are certain activities that agents do that produce results, and there are activities that you can do that don't produce results. And unfortunately, a lot of agents focus on the activities that are not producing results. And so there are usually, it's 4 or 5 things. I always say if you take the actual jobs of real estate, because every business has a job. We all own a business. And because we own a business, they have jobs our business has jobs just like everybody else. However, most agents, we wear all the hats. We do all the jobs. But some jobs are more important than others. If you own a donut shop and you don't unlock the door, it doesn't matter what kind of donuts you have, no one's buying donuts, right?
Right.
So certain jobs are more important. One of those jobs is lead generation. Matter of fact, I'd say it's the most important because it doesn't matter what kind of listing presentation you have. If you don't have a listing appointment to go on, it doesn't matter. You can be the best listing presentation presenter out there, but if you don't have an appointment to go on, it doesn't matter. So there are certain habits, jobs that you need to perform. So putting them in a schedule and making sure you do it on a regular basis is what gets you the results. Everything else is up for debate. You know as well as I do, if you're working on your website, although that probably needs to get done, it's not going to make a difference in the deal that you need that month, right?
No.
So you can figure that out. You can farm it out later. You can do it on the weekends, but doing an open house, if that's your lead generation, calling a for sale by owner, calling your leads that you're getting in, that you're getting paid leads, calling the leads that are coming in off your YouTube channel, whatever it is where your source of leads, and making sure that happens, that matters, right?
That's
and so
number one.
making your focus time on that is what makes the difference in a producing agent and an agent that struggles.
So I think the habit of procrastinating on the important stuff and creating a habit of putting it off. Yeah, I'll make calls tomorrow. Yeah, I'll lead generate tomorrow. Yeah, I need more information to lead generate.
I just called them yesterday, so therefore I'll wait a couple of days because that feels right, those kind of things.
It feels right. Instead of having the habit of, hey, no matter what they say or how they respond, I'm going to do this system. That's why in the Leads Workshop, we teach that habits are actual systems. If you were a computer, it'd be a system. But if you're a human, it's called a habit. So creating the human habits around the technology system to follow up and follow through. So I also think that there are habits that agents need to stop doing. And one of those things is, I feel it's self-talk, the habit of self-negative talk. And these are mental habits, mental ways of thinking. So if I tend to always think negative, if I tend to always look at everything as I'm no good, nobody will use me, nobody will call me, nothing works out for me, all the deals fall apart, my friends don't use me. The habit of the thought habits are you can't touch them, but your computer hardwire is created habits of thoughts. Talk to me about those habits of thinking.
Yeah, I truly believe there's an energy around our thoughts and our conversations and the things that we do. And if you put the energy out of negativity, it will come back to you. And it's a hard thing to do because our natural tendency, like we've talked about before, is to run from pain and protect ourselves. And so protecting ourselves sometimes has the manifestation of hiding from some of the things that we don't want to do, even though they may be good for us, right? Because they're painful. And we've talked about that earlier. And the habit of trying to protect ourselves by having that negative talk and having that, I'm not good enough, so why should I try? I'm not, no one's going to use me, or, they're not home. No one's coming to my open house. No one's going to answer when I call in the morning, so I'm going to wait till the afternoon. All those things, not knowing the actual answer, right? But just assuming, having that thought, it will put it. I will say you will always get what you believe, and Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're probably right. And the reality is you have to, in our business, because it's a business of personal relationships, you have to always try to strive to be in that positive mindset and going, I deserve this. I should get this. I need to help people. I need to go be the hero. I need to do these things because this is what I'm here to do. Having that kind of talk gets you, but you actually got to take activity. It's not just about having the talk, right? It's about doing the activity behind it.
Yeah.
But it will get you the results you're looking for versus always thinking that maybe I'll get lucky. I know I'm not good enough, but maybe someone will have pity on me. Those kind of things will not produce the results that you're looking for.
Great habit. So I want you guys out there to think about the patterns and the habits of thinking. Very important. If they're repetitive, but you bring awareness to them, then you can break the habit, which brings me to my next topic, which is the positive thinking habits of gratitude. So if every situation you're in, you have a habit to be grateful for, that is a way of thinking about life. That's a way of failing forward, that if things don't work out, it's okay. What did I learn from it? So it's the habit of gratitude for every situation, for every client.
We get to do this thing. We get to build a business. We get to have the opportunity to build wealth and to build financial security for our family and our future. Having that attitude of we get to and not we have to, I think is extremely important in this business. There's nothing, being a football coach, being for many years and studying the greats of basketball and football. I've never seen a single athlete that has succeeded that didn't first fail.
Oh, you have to. Anybody.
Failure is part of the process, and we oftentimes try to avoid it and try to figure out a hack around it. But the reality is, to succeed at a high level in anything that we do, you must first fail. Usually fail often. So that's why there's a saying, fail forward fast, right? Because the faster you fail, not that you avoid it, but you know you're going to go through it. So let's get through it quick, right?
Yeah.
So when I teach in some of my master teachings and classes that I do, I'm talking about taking massive action quickly, not because you're going to get great at it, but because you're going to figure it out faster, and that the amount of time it takes to do that is the amount of time it takes. So you might as well compress that time as quick as possible so that you get through it. You can either learn how to do open houses over 18 open houses and take 9 months, or you can take 6 weeks. Choose wisely, right?
I love that.
Taking massive and your gut, but the process is the same. The learning curve is the same. You can shorten it by just taking massive action and having, like you said, coming from gratitude every morning. I spoke about this earlier, but waking up in the morning, every single person that wakes up in the morning before they get out of bed has something to be grateful for. They woke up. Millions of people don't. And we have the ability to come from that place if we choose, but it's a choice.
It's a choice. And that's the thing too. That's a habit is a choice. Sometimes it's in your subconscious, but you can control that. You can get ahead of your thoughts, or sometimes we can't control the thoughts that come in. We can control what we do with those thoughts. We can linger in those thoughts or just shut them down. We can, okay, my brain goes this, but I'm going to go this way. I love that.
And just one last thing that I try to live by, and again, most of the stuff I try to live by, someone taught me, but it's not your first thought that you're responsible for, but it is your second. Because you can't always affect, like when someone cuts you off, you can't always affect that first thought, but you can affect the second one.
Oh, I love it. Okay, how about the habit of hesitation? Oh my goodness. So lead generation is all about taking every opportunity. You're at the store, you think, oh, should I give them my card? And you don't, you hesitate. You're at the drive-in or at a restaurant and you're like, oh, should I tell them I'm in real estate? Should I hand them should I? And it's like, we just hesitate. Oh, I'm at a party making friends. And then I'm like, ooh. So that habit of that, ooh, and then you don't do it and then you miss opportunities. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think it's probably the biggest reason people fail in this business long term is because they are afraid of what people think of them. So therefore, they create this habit of, I want to make sure I'm perfect, a perfect situation, perfect environment, perfect person for you to have a perfect conversation, which doesn't ever exist. Right. So the reality is, again, we've talked about this on an earlier episode, if you come from a place that you're trying to save people and you have to go find those people, That means you should reach out to everybody that you know, any situation that you're in, and figure out a good way, because it's all about scripting. It's all about figuring out how to have conversation and figure out those ways to be able to always ask in a way that makes sense in that situation. Hey, do you happen to know anybody who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the next 12 months? Now, you may not ask it that way, but that message should come across that you're there to help if they do.
That's the message. So it's the habit of being ready to always talk to somebody about real estate. Or how about the habit of just talking to someone? It doesn't always have to be real estate. Do you have a habit of being in a elevator and not saying hello, good morning? Do you have a habit of not greeting the person at the front of the gym who greets you? Those are terrible habits. Just by saying hi to people and saying, you know what, I'm actually going to be a friendly person instead of an introvert. I'm actually going to get off my phone. That's a habit. Everywhere you go, you're just like this. You're just like this. And you're missing the whole world in front of you. Talk about habits with the phone.
One of my pet peeves with people that do this for a living, and when I say do this, I mean anybody that has a service-based business. Because we all do it. We've all been guilty of it, including me. And I don't do it anymore, but it took creating a new habit, which is, how are you doing? Good? Okay. You did nothing for that conversation. You didn't engage. Good is what everybody says. It is literally a pass-through word, right? But when someone says, how you doing? And you go, I'm doing phenomenal. How you doing? Now, you can say phenomenal. You can say great. You can say, oh my gosh, thank you so much for asking. Whatever it feels weird at first, right?
Right.
Feels weird. But the funny thing is, when you do that, you will have amazing conversations with cashiers at the grocery store. You'll have amazing, instead of checking out your own groceries, go through the cash register. Go through do it the old way. They are wanting to talk to people. Have those conversations. Inside of those conversations is where the value is, where the pearls are, where the magic happens, because most people are not having those conversations, whether it's a waitress, whether it's a cashier, whether it's a teller at the bank. Go into the bank instead of the drive-through. All of those little habits that you can create that gives you the ability to do your business. And again, I don't know what it takes. Is it 1, 2 a month, 3 a month, 5 a month? It doesn't take that much for your dreams to come true. Most people just don't have enough conversations.
Oh, so the habit of talking to people everywhere you go and everyone you meet, it doesn't matter who they are, great or small, doesn't matter if they're the janitor or the CEO, but you've put it on your mind that you have a habit that you connect to as many people as you can every single day. The waitress, whoever it is. So I love that habit. And then breaking the habit of hesitation and overthinking and analyzing and trying to be perfect. That's a terrible habit to wait. So I hope that today you guys have learned a few things that affect all of us as humans and real estate agents. And we will have more information on the links if you want to get in touch with the Kevin Harris, because he has a Facebook page where he coaches agents. He does seminars, events, classes. So I'll put his information so you can get a hold of him. And then, of course, sign up for the Next Leads workshop, where you're going to learn all kinds of skills that will help you master lead generation at a high level. And then, of course, subscribe for more videos to Talk, Train, and Sell Real Estate. Have a good one, friends.